Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to explain how to create EBS value and how to attach it to the EC2 mission. In the previous video, we already discussed how to launch a EC2 mission. Now I am going to explain how to create a EBS value. For that, let me explain through MS Paint. Okay. For that, I am going to create one VPC and one more subnet. And in this subnet, I'm going to create one EC2 mission. So in this video, I'm going to create EBS value, right? For that, I'm going to create the EBS value in the same availability zone where our EC2 mission is launched. Okay, in the same availability zone only, we have to create the EBS value. Otherwise, we cannot able to attach it to the our EC2 mission. This is the EC2 mission. So let me open my CloudFormation template. So define the template version and they can give any description for the same. Create a EBS value and attach to EC2 mission. Okay, so for that first create the VPC first. For that I'm going to use the AWS specific parameters, so no need to define any code for the same. So let me define the parameters and I'm going to create the one VPC parameter. We can give any name for the this parameter. I'm going to create VPC ID. The type of this parameter type is, let me define the AWS specific parameters. So we can use AWS CloudFormation, AWS specific parameter types. So by default, AWS CloudFormation is define the VPC and some other subnets, regions, everything using AWS specific parameters. So I'm defining the same parameters. Okay. Scroll down in the documentation page, you can see the AWS specific parameters. These are the supported by the AWS specific parameters. You can use the same parameters in the same. So here I'm going to use the VPC ID. Let me copy the same. So this is the AWS specific parameters for the VPC. Okay. Let me, the type of this VPC parameter type would be AWS specific parameter. Okay. After that, I'm going to create the subnet as well. I'm going to create subnet ID parameter and I'm going to copy the, so here I'm going to use the AWS specific parameter type. Okay, so the subnet ID. Okay, so this is going to return the VPCs that is available in your uh, in the same region. Okay, and this is going to be return the list of subnets that are available in your account in the same region. Okay, now I'm going to create the resources section. So here I'm going to create my EC2. Okay, you can give any logical ID for this resource. I'm going to create my EC2 and let me open the documentation for the same. So the documentation for this AWS CloudFormation EC2 instance. Okay, and after that go through this link and I'm going to filter out using YAML language. So these are the properties of EC2 instance resources. So let me copy the type of this resource. Okay, after that properties for this one. So we can create AMID and instance type. Let me copy these from availability properties. Image ID is required. So for this ID, let me define the parameter for this image ID. Okay. So I'm going to create image ID and let me copy the IMID from my account. So go to aws.com. From the EC2 resource section, I'm going to copy the Linux AMI ID. From the EC2 services, if you click on launch instance, you can able to select the AMI ID which you want to launch. So here you can select any Ubuntu or something. So here I'm using a Linux, Amazon Linux. Let me copy this one and place in your template. Okay, let me copy the same one here using referencing function and this one. Okay, let me define the type of this parameter type. This is the type of string, and I'm going to pass the default value for this. Let me, okay, when you pass a default value to the image ID parameter, it is going to be assigned. Okay, and the type of instance type, about T2 micro, and the subnet ID, you can copy this one. So this is the subnet ID. I'm going to put it in my template. I'm going to refer. Okay. So we already defined the subnet ID parameter, which is going to send a list of subnet IDs in the form of array. Okay. For the array values, you can select the value using an intrinsic function called select. Okay. And we have to define the index value of the first parameter or any next parameter, and we have to refer the parameter name using reference intrinsic function. Okay, this is how you are going to call the subnet ID. So this is we already discussed in the previous videos. You can go through those videos, there we can get the clear idea. So now I'm going to create the tags for this resource, and I'm going to, this is the tags is a key value pair, right? That's why I'm going to define the name of this one, and value for this key would be, I'm going to give the my EC2 instance. Okay, so there is one more function, intrinsic function called substitute. Okay, let me show you the document for this one. Meters. Okay, let me search for this AWS CloudFormation intrinsic function. There is one function called substitute. It is going to assign the values to this any parameters. Okay, let me show you the string function substring, or you can pass the values to this one like this. Okay, using submit function, you can define the values to this any parameter. Okay, so here I'm going to define one intrinsic function called substitute. Okay, after that, open this one. Same format you can use. Okay, let me copy from this one. So we can call stack name as well. Okay, so what will happen using substitute when you define the substitute intrinsic function? It is going to pass some values to this variable called value. Okay, let me, for this you have to define this substitute function. So if you go through the declaration and everything, it is going to give the clear idea. This intrinsic function will pass the values to this variable. That's why I'm going to use this function to show how to define this one. We can pass any values, any names for this one. Okay. After that, I'm going to create the EBS volume. So EBS volume parameter, sorry, EBS volume resources. Okay. Let me open the document for the resource. AWS CloudFormation EBS volume resource. Just go through this documentation. So here I'm using YAML language and let me scroll down. So these are the resource properties. Let me copy the type of this resource. After that I'm going to define the properties, and what I would require for this one is volume ID, availability zone, some other one. Let me copy the availability zone. Okay, availability zone. So to get the availability zone from any resource, so we already define EC2 mission, EC2 resource. To get the availability of this EC2 resource, we have one intrinsic function called GetAtt. So let me show you the documentation for this one, then you can get clarity. If you scroll down, there is a one more function called GetAtt. Okay, so come back. If you go through this intrinsic function, so the syntax for this one is function getIt, and after that we have to define the logical name of the resource. That is nothing but a logical ID means this is the resource name you can define in this syntax. Okay, after that attribute, what attribute you want to get it. Suppose in my resource I'm going to get the availability zones. Okay, so in this attribute name you have to define availability zone, or else you can define the this syntax as well, not a problem. So using I'm logical ID of the resource and attribute name. So let me define the logical ID of this is in my case EC2 is my instance name. Let me copy the resource logical ID of this one. Okay. After that I wanted to get the availability zone. For this let me check the return values of this one. If you scroll down, let me open the EC2 instance. So this is the EC2 instance documentation, right? So if you check for the return values for this resource, just click on return values. See, this resource going to return the availability zone ID and private DNS and private IP. You can get these return values from this resource. In this case, I'm going to get the availability zone. For that, I'm going to copy the availability zone attribute name. Okay, so when you define this get additive intrinsic function, it is going to get the EC2 my EC2 resource availability zone. Okay, so after that I'm going to copy the volume type of this resource. For that I'm going to EBS volumes. So the volume type we can create GP2 or something, and size of this EBS volume. For this I'm going to copy this one. The size, while you are creating EBS value, you have to define the size also, right? So for that you can give 10 or 100 or something, 1 TB. You can give any size. In this EBS value I'm giving 10. Okay. Now I have created one EBS value. After that I want to attach this EBS value to EC2 mission. For that I have to create one more resource called EBS value attachment. Okay. Let me go through the documentation and you will get some idea. AWS CloudFormation EBS volume attachment. For this I would require instance ID and yeah, first let me define this one. The type of resource is this one and properties for this resource would be I would require instance ID and volume ID. Okay, let me copy this instance ID. So we already defined my EC2 instance. For this I'm going to copy the logical ID of this one and using reference function I'm going to call this instance ID and volume ID as well. So I already defined my EBS value. For that I'm going to get the volume ID. Using reference function I'm going to copy this EBS volume ID. Okay. We already see how do you get the return values. So after that device type also we have to define. For that just copy this one and the device type would be DEV SDH or XVDH. 1 minute. Yeah. So I'm going to place this device type as well. 1 minute. I'm defining the property of this one would be device and type of this one would be you can define this one or this one as well you can define. Okay. Anything will be supported. So now I define the EBS value and I define the resource for EBS value attachment. Let me save this one and open my CloudFormation. Okay, so let me click on this create stack. My template is already ready. Let me upload my template. So the name of template name is testing.yaml. Let me select that one. This is the template I have created now. Let me select and click on next. So there are some errors. Template format might let list one resource members. Okay, I think I have okay. I mistakenly written the resource section. Let me save this. Let me clear this error. Let me again the so testing.yaml. Okay, click on next. Okay, now I'm going to give the EBS value as my stack name. You can give any name for this one. So this is the default value we have forwarded to this image ID parameter, right? In our template, see, this is the default value we have forwarded to this image ID parameter. That's why it is going to show this default value. If you don't want, you can delete this one and you can pass one more value. Okay, I'm going to keep the same default value. Now I'm going to select the subnet ID. You can select any subnet ID. So here I'm going to select the VPC as well. Okay, click on next and no need to select anything on this one. So click on next and in the review I'll review of this tag. Scroll down and click on submit button. It is going to be take some more time. Let me pass this value and come back once it is created. Yeah, stack execution is completed now. Okay. So let me show you the resource what we have created. I have created my EC2 instance. Let me open this resource. Okay, this is the resource we have created using our template. So AMID for this one. So this is the AMID we have forwarded in our stack template. Okay, and the type of this resource would be T2 micro. This is we have passed in our stack. See somewhere. So this is the instance type we have forwarded. and the availability zone would be EU West 1A. Let me show you the EBS value. So this is the EBS value we have created using our stack. So let me show you the, see, the availability zone would be EU West 1A. Both EC2 mission and EBS volumes are placed in the same availability zone. That's why you are going to attach this volume to EC2 mission. So the type of this EBS volume would be GP2. So when you define the volume type GP2, it is going to be created GP2 type. The size of this we have forwarded 10, right? So the 10 gigabytes it is going to be show over here because that way means the EBS value would be 10. Okay. This is how you are going to create EBS value and attach to the EC2 machine. So let me show you one more EBS value which is created by default while creating EC2 machine. The size of this one would be 8 GB. Okay, that is the default value for the EC2 machine. This is the 10 GB we have created using our stack. Both are availability in the same availability zone. This is how you are going to create the EBS values. Thank you for watching.